I have a goal, and that goal is to beat every single Sokpop game, which in all honesty, is a stupid goal. Sokpop is an indie game development team from the Netherlands comprising of 4 devs. They release a new game just about every month, it's right around that range, with most being smaller titles that only usually take an hour to beat, unless you're bad at video games, like I am. I love the style the team has, each game looks absolutely beautiful, there's so much work put into each one. They have easily over 100 plus games, and I'm going to beat every single one of them. Welcome to Sokpop Conquest, the series where you can see a dumbass, which is me, put ungodly amounts of hours into a game that looks like this. My plan originally was to try and 100% every single game, but after a headache you'll see later in the video, I shot a tranquilizer dart into the beast known as my inner completionist, and just decided that it would be better, for my mental health, to beat the games and having 100%ing them just kind of be a secondary goal. Today I'm going to be playing Fishy, a game where you're a fish, shocker, Bobo Robot, which is a name that sounds so dumb when spoken, and Pocket Watch, a game where you play as a duck stuck in a time loop. This is Fishy. You play as a little red fish who desperately wants to get bigger, even if it means consuming all of this ocean's natural resources and killing its denizens. So the fish is a capitalist. It honestly took me a bit to figure out how to play it, but I eventually got it. You hold X to keep your mouth open and let go to close it. Anything in your mouth when it closes is eaten, and that makes you bigger. You can also dash forward with Z. I started in this small area with only green vegan hippie fish and little purple dots. I kept hitting this cork until it eventually came off, giving me access to a way bigger area. I saw this weird pink dangling thing, and I wonder what... It was a hook. Oh, I'm dead. And that marked my first achievement, hooked. I returned, like a phoenix from the ashes, only to get eaten again by a big blue flesh-loving fish, which got me kibble. It was here that I actually started learning how to play. A great strat is to stay in the small left area until you're big enough to play on the monkey bars with the big kids. After that, consume said kids until you're even stronger. Strong enough to pull this red anchor up and enter the second layer of this fish hell. I took this yellow ball I found earlier with me and became Fish Dante. Do you want to know why it's hell? Let me show you. These fucking things. These are octopi, a mollusk that's found in this second layer. You can't eat them at all, meaning you can only run away like a coward and hope they don't get you. There is 3 of them, and if you dare to even go close to them, they'll attach onto you and suck the flesh off your bones. After you're weak and sickly, fish easily become cannibals. I could have beaten this so much faster if these octopi were caught and grilled in some restaurant somewhere. After a few more fishy runs, get it? Sorry. The octopi fucked off enough for me to pull up this ship and allow me to get down to this cork at the bottom. I brought the little yellow ball down, clicked it into place, and sent the entire ocean into the abyss. Alright, quick fire achievement round. I stayed in the starting area and got my mouth big enough, to eat a fish from the pipe, which was easy snack. My hubris then overcame me and I got too big to leave, giving me uh-oh, which meant I then had to jump over the rock, which gave me flying fish. I died, respawned real quick, and rushed down to get into the ship, earning me fish ahoy. Now there are 3 achievements left to get before I 100% this game. Big Fish, which is self-explanatory, Quick Fish, which is a speedrunner's wet dream, and Vegan Fish, which is a weird oxymoron. Let's start by getting supersized. I already attempted this earlier to no avail, but after checking a few Steam 100% guides, which are linked below, I was reassured that I would just have to keep eating and I would eventually get the achievement. So I ate, and ate, and ate, until I popped. For the record, I did not actually pop. That would be so traumatic if my fish just exploded. Next on the chopping block is Quick Fish, the achievement for beating the game in under 10 minutes, which sounds way harder than it actually is. The run was basically identical to a typical run, except faster. You know, vroom vroom, speed speed, yada yada, whatever. Anyways, I opened the anchor, opened the ship, and then finally unplugged the world-ending plug, and got a pretty good time of 7 minutes 46. And finally, Vegan Fish, a surprisingly annoying achievement. In these runs, You can only consume moss and these little white orbs. That's it. No microorganism blobs, no fish. I had 2 runs for this achievement, with one being much more infuriating. The run was going really good. I'd unlocked the anchor and ship, so I was moving on in my own little fishy way until... Did you hear that? Let me play it again. As I was swimming over to the plug with the bobber in my mouth, one of the purple fucks slipped into my mouth so that when I went to drop the bobber, I ate it. I was so close. I was literally right there, so I had to try again. This time being very careful as to not have something swim into my mouth. But I dropped the bobber onto the plug, pulled, and finally got the achievement that I rightfully deserved, marking 100% completion in this game. Woo, baby! First Sokpop 100! Woo! It's robot time! Welcome to Bobo Robot, a Metroidvania with a really nice and comfy pixel art style. You start the game as this little robot head who took "so no head" way too literally. You hop up this hill and onto this body to gain actual free control of the map instead of just being an electronic Dullahan. I started running through the level using the skills of my little cross-country robot. I learned that I have 3 hit points and that bats are very mean creatures who don't like me. I eventually made it to this little shrine where if I stand on this button, it sends a signal to the door unlocking it. I now have a gun and can begin a robot uprising if I desire. I notice a little door that requires a key, so I begin venturing to find one. Apparently, a rat finds me first, killing me. This respawns me with absolutely nothing, so it's time to do this all again. After about 5 minutes of dying, because I'm very bad at video games apparently, I finally get the key and enter the locked zone. I speak to this little green robot, who tells me about 1, a random spaceship, I wonder how that got there, and 2, the respawner, which lets me, guess what, respawn. But it's out of power, so I've got to go fix it, because of course I can. I go into the next room, get this thing that I thought was a snail, because, come on, it literally looks like one, and click this button which powers up the respawner. I go back and, oh wow, the respawner's on. Yeah, that killed me. I mean, I'm back, but I definitely just died. I think my robot now understands the concept of mortality. I didn't realize at the time that I had to put the small snail thing in this ship, so I kept walking until I eventually found a different puzzle, solved it, and then realized I can only carry 1 item. I had to go back, put the steering wheel in, guess that's what the snail was, and go back for the other thing, finally allowing me to leave this dumbass place. See a green robo bitch? I stopped by this weird red outpost, found an equally weird key, and also this little bolt. Bolts are kinda like the currency of this game, and there's exactly 40 of them. This will become relevant later. I unlocked the door, which allowed me to get the ship blaster. I got an additional 5 bolts before leaving and going to this small little town. I talked to Business Frog, who told me that he'd give me the secret to enter Frog Cove for 10 bolts, as a proper businessman would. I then discovered that water hurts. That one made sense. I talked to this little blue robot who was complaining about not having a body, like a little bitch. So of course, being the kind robot that I am, I rescued his body, to which he rewarded me with the ability to detach my head at will. Fun. I hopped up this little wall, earning another 2 bolts, and found this cove, which got me the bolts needed to purchase the frog secret, which is just jumping. Just jumping. I ventured into Frog Cove and found a total of 12 bolts. I then walked until I got blocked by a frog whose secret is to look at him until he leaves. I then beat the daylights out of this monarchy's queen until she gave me the ability to not instantly die when touching water. I used Curse Technique Lapse, head removal, and Curse Technique Reversal, waterproofing, to form Imaginary Technique, getting 3 more bolts. I then got stuck behind a waterfall. I fixed my mistake and got the Charge Shot ability, which, for some reason, gave me the achievement for every upgrade, despite missing 2. I fixed this by buying the remaining 2 upgrades, an extra shot, and an extra point of HP. I stopped by the outpost to pick up 2 more bolts, and then made my way to the ship submerged in the water. I got their ID card, which gave me access to the other section of the map. I then shot at this giant ship, which broke multiple sections of the Intergalactic Geneva Convention, just so I could sneak inside and take control of it. Inside the ship are evil, uncool robots who can actually shoot you, but good thing they drop a little bit of money if you kill them. I fought my way through them until I could finally get this key, giving me access to the rest of the ship. I progressed through the evil robot's base, eventually making it to this elevator where I made a fatal flaw. I thought it would be funny to die to this elevator. This would end up being not very funny. I ended up dying due to being jumped by 2 robots, where I respawned, hit the button to call the elevator, and nothing happened. The elevator would not come back down. Mind you, this is the only way to get up there. I tried everything. I tried respawning, I tried going out and coming back in. So in my very dumb brain, I thought, oh, this game probably saves progress, let me just quit and come back. I was back at the start of the game, meaning I'd have to do this all over again. This time, I got all 40 bolts on my way here. I called the elevator correctly this time. I dropped in this pit, leading me to a place where I had to discard my body. I progressed through this water tunnel and through this loop, which had a blue button in the middle. As I sat on the button, I beat the game. See now, this would be fine and dandy, I would have gotten 100%, but this is when I stopped going for that in every game. Technically, there was one achievement left, to beat the game in 10 minutes. I decided after, 30 minutes to an hour of attempts, yeah, I'm not doing this right now. This is absolutely awful. Will I do it? Yeah, probably. Will it be in this episode? Hell no. And finally, the game that took me the absolute longest, Pocket Watch. The game part collectathon and part time loop where you play as a duck attempting to save an island. You wake up in this small, cozy house. As you walk outside, you see a chest on this rock formation, with no real way to get it as the water's way too high for the duck to swim in. Yeah, the duck can't swim for more than a few seconds or he'll drown. We'll come back to that. If we talk to this, I think he's a beaver? He'll tell us that he was the one who brought us into the house after he found us passed out in the water. Now there is a glaring problem. How do we get to that chest? This is where the main mechanic of the game comes in, waiting. As you stand around, time will pass. You can also speed this process up by sitting or sleeping in a bed. After time passed from us walking around, the tides got high, meaning we can finally go over and retrieve the wrench from the blue chest. I didn't really know what to do from here, so I just kept sleeping until eventually the volcano blew up and I lost. If you're unable to beat the game by around 12 AM, the volcano will blow up and everyone on the island will die. Bummer. So let's try again. Alright, new attempt. I walked over to this island and grabbed the broken ship part, which I should have gotten earlier. I brought it over to the ship and repaired it. Then I waited for high tide and grabbed the wrench. Then I had to wait for the high tide to go away, but after that I finally had the boat repaired and was ready to venture to Volcano City. Wow, that is on the nose. After arriving, I found this penguin asking for coconuts. I brought him over one and he wanted to give me a coin, but I needed a coin pouch to hold it. I walked around until I stopped at Hog's shop and she just gave me one. That was actually very kind. After grabbing the coins I had collected but hadn't collected, I was at 3 coins. I used these coins for this elephant's flying course, which turned out to be a massive scam. After dilly-dallying for the entire day, I lost to the volcano again. I ran through the entire process again with a few more coins until I stumbled into this crow who told me that to save the island I was gonna need that auction item. I very rudely outbid this upper-class frog and obtained the watch. Eventually, it hit 12, and as the volcano was about to explode, the watch rewound time to the start of the day, except I got to keep all my items. Oh wait, that's how I beat this, let's go. I bought this dude's wrench so I could actually get here faster, and after another loop, I gathered enough stuff that could kinda be considered a resume, and sat in for my job interview. I got hired though, and went up to my first and only test of skill for this job. and I got bored, so I looked through his room and found a fancy invitation. After buying my little fancy hat for this little fancy get-together, the guard let me through and I had my meeting with a cool frog guy, who told me that he had 4 out of 5 of the gemstones, and he said he'd get the last one tonight. Did I walk in on something? I don't think I'm supposed to be here. I went to the second half of this meeting inside the volcano that was about to blow up in like an hour. I walked in, I was a little bit late, but I walk in and I see a guy cowering in fear as the mountain grew eyes. Alright, that's cool. I picked up this strange rock on the ground. Oh, it was a gem. Oh wait, that makes a lot more sense. Okay, cool. After a few more loops, I was talking to this rabbit who had missed her appointment, and she just gave me the letter for it. Not how that works. I also found one of these moons, hidden collectibles scattered around the map. Also found another gem that was leaning ominously over the sea in a watchtower. Normal thing. Just as the appointment letter said, I walked over to Town Hall at 2 and went up to see the mayor, whose important documents I threw into the trash, who allowed me to open the gate finally. This octopus also wanted to go to sea, but his sail was broken. Fucking loser. So he gave it to me. Oh, that was sweet. And I used it to repair my umbrella at Hog's shop. I sat in at an auction and won a fortune necklace, which would, hopefully, allow me to find more collectibles as I was really struggling. It didn't. After a very long time later, I gave this bird some alcohol and he gave me a treasure map, which is not an equal exchange in the slightest. After digging up the treasure, I found a goblet, which I then traded for a house in this unstable economy. This house will become very important later. I bought some shades and talked to this snail who refused to talk to non-shade wearing plebeians. He explained that the 3 gems I was missing were, quote, on an island in the east, 1 is in the lake, and the boss keeps 1 in his room. When I tell you that I was stumped, I mean stumped. Between me needing to find 3 more gems, which I had looked for about like 30 minutes and couldn't find a single one, 5 more moons, and at least 20 more coins, I was strained. I then did what I really hate doing in games because it feels like cheating. I looked it up. Because honestly, I had been playing for nearly 3 hours at this point. I'm not going to keep hoping I find something. So, I used some very helpful Steam guides, which will all be linked in the description and the card if I can or if I remember to do that. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Oh my God, you saved me so much time. I am so glad I did this because I wouldn't have found some of these otherwise. At one point, to make sure I didn't miss any of the combined 62 items I needed, I had a map of the entire game and crossed each one off until I got them all. It looked like I was schizophrenic, okay? It was a journey, to say the least. Okay, the video's getting really long, so I can't really show me getting every single one or talk about it. So let's speed this up by like, I don't know, 80 times speed, however fast I can get this thing to fucking run. I found all 5 gems, the 7 moons, and all 50 coins. I went back to my house that I bought, oh yeah, callback, and retrieved the sail. I fixed the octopi's boat and went with him to Moon Island where I touched this monolith and went up to the inside of the volcano. Once there, I dropped all 5 gems in the volcano and went up to meet the crow. One thing left to do, speedrun the game in under 10 minutes. Now, I thought this would be actual hell, because honestly, this is a huge fucking game. But honestly, with all the glitches present, it becomes so much easier. Like, easy enough for me to only do it in 2 main attempts. By the end, I had beaten the game in 7 minutes and 26 seconds. Not bad, Duck. Not bad. I really hope you enjoyed this first episode of Sokpop Conquest. I have and always will be Dylan. See ya.